The city of Parma, Italy, is like any other old, beautiful, prosperous, music-loving Italian town, except more so. It floats on a river of music. Every kind of taste is catered to. The average Parmigiano is a musical expert regardless of his condition. Once a year, the Parmigiani declare open season on singers and musicians. It is the opera season. People arguing in my bar like they do in any bar. They get excited and talk big and rough about politics or religion or women. You know the kind of stuff. But in my bar, it's in Parma, so the arguments are usually a little different.
Carlos or Tebaldi, who cares who sings better? I don't get it. But those people in there, they really do make a big discussion about it. You know, everybody knows Italian like opera, but this town is sick. It's sick about this thing. I don't get it. I'm Morris Mantegari, and I was born in Belvidere, New Jersey, and I was raised there for a few years. But I like baseball. I don't care about this opera stuff here. But you know what happened? I married a singer. You know, ever since I married her, I had to like opera, volere volare, like they say in Italy. Otherwise, I don't find anything home to eat. You know, even you, if you were here in Parma, in this city, after a while you have to become an opera fan yourself, because you have to. You might think opera is the main thing in Parma, but it's not. Parma is a regular town. I never see any bumming around the place, any people out of work. And I think it's a pretty wealthy town.
But mostly in Parma it's music. Verdi, Toscanini, Paganini, Tebaldi, they were all born here and mostly lived here. Music, music, and music. Like this Circolo Toscanini they got. It's just a sort of fan club. Mostly they just sit around in their club room and play records and listen like they just hypnotize. See what I mean? There's another club here, and it's very famous, the Corale Verdi. They got a cafe and a building, and they even got a full-time music teacher to conduct and train them. But the Circolo Toscanini and the Corale Verdi are organizations. A few hundred people, maybe. Most people in Parma are just ordinary people. They like music, especially opera. They like to listen to it, criticize it, argue about it, and sing it. Of course, things are changing. Television is cutting down the interesting music, I think. People go to taverns or stay home and just watch the little bucks, especially the young ones. Biscotti Nelli.
Ridi, 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 gioia della mamma, tu sei per me tutta la mia vita.
Biscotti Melli.
Vieni, vieni amore, vieni sul mio cuore, mamma ti dà I prodotti Melli, Melli.
But even so, there are still plenty people that loves opera.
Parma is a very peaceful town until the opera comes, and when the opera comes, everybody goes crazy. The man in charge of the opera house is the Dr. Negri, Giuseppe Negri. He's elected in this job. He's a pharmacist, and he doesn't get paid for. But believe me, he has a terrible job. Because, first of all, he has to please the stars and the actors. On the other hand, he has to please the Parmigiani. And the Parmigiani are the toughest part to please. Because, as you know, they are very, very strict. These people, they take very seriously. Even this opera plot, they're very, very funny plot. They're very unbelievable plot. But they do believe it. They believe everything of that. For example, last year I saw this singer, the Bohème, for example, that girl, she's supposed to be dying in a minute or so. And what happened? She's still singing and singing full force for 20, 30 minutes. With, not even a very healthy people could resist that long. But believe me, that's unbelievable. But those people, they do believe on that. I'll give you an example about tough they are, these people here. You know, last year there was a good tenor, but he had a bad night. I guess maybe the voice or maybe a cold air or something. He sang in La Traviata, and I guess he made few mistakes, you know. At the third or the fourth mistake, they started booing, whistling. You know, he left town, you know. He left town and he never come back. That's how tough these people are, you know. You know where I wouldn't want to be? I wouldn't like to be this Margherita Roberti on the opening night of the Luisa Miller. No, sir, not for anything.
If I had never become Margherita Roberti, if I were still just plain Margaret Jean Roberts of Davenport, Iowa, I could take the time to enjoy Parma. I could visit the old baptistry and the cathedral and the Teatro Farnese and all the other places I've heard about and really see the town right. But as it is, I'm not a tourist. In 8 days, I open the Parma opera season in the title role of Verdi's Luisa Miller. So as Margherita Roberti, opera singer, I'll just walk past everything else on the way to the opera house. It was built by Maria Luisa, Napoleon's second wife, when she was Duchess of Parma. And it's about the only point of interest I'll get to know really well. The one with the lovely mustache is Giuseppe Negri, the general manager. For 1 month a year, he's the most important man in Parma.
In Bocca Al Lupo, ha-ha.
In Bocca Al Lupo. It's always bad luck to wish a performer good luck. So in Italy, you say in Bocca Al Lupo. It means in the mouth of the wolf. And in a way, a theater does look like the mouth of some big beast. At any rate, it does from the point of view of the poor performer. The Teatro Regio in Parma is like lots of others in Italy, except that it's in Parma. Back in 1829, when the theater was opened, the first opera was one commissioned by Maria Luisa. It must have been a stinker, because the audience hooted it off the stage and it was never done again. From all I hear, the audience hasn't changed a bit since then. It still has good taste, no patience, and perfect pitch. The first orchestra rehearsal is like a reunion. They all know each other. Most of them are teachers or gifted students at the conservatory. Like the rest of us, they've been practicing Louisa Miller on their own since it was scheduled. But they've never played it together before. And they've never before laid eyes on their famous conductor for Louisa, Alberto Erede.
Dico dei gruppetti tutti a levare. In levare, in levare. Torna a volta per favore.
For the first time in 20 years, the opening notes of Louisa Miller are heard in Parma. Probably only the maestro really knows the opera. The playing is pretty rough at this point. Snow. The town looks beautiful, but I hate snow. Singers have to watch the weather, like farmers. If I caught cold now and lost my voice, Negri would never be able to replace me. Nobody knows the opera. Somebody knows Louisa Miller. That's one of the tenor arias he's whistling. That's Louisa, too, the opening chorus. They're rough, but whoever they are, they know what they're doing. Even the cops? This is serious. The whole town must be studying Louisa Miller. It's scary.
Feeling about it, that, yes, it's a diplomatic answer, but really I am paralyzed. I'm really paralyzed after the scandals last year. Aren't you a little bit afraid now?
Terrible.
I'm too old.
Oh, you're not old.
The maestro, and Cioni, the tenor, and Cappuccilli, the baritone, seem full of confidence. Not me.
Tu hai veramente una voce verdiana.
La voce è fatta per queste opere qui.
È vero.
Find another soprano.
Va bene, va bene.
It's awful.
Ma sei contenta tu di cantare a Parma, sì?
Sì, come io dicevo prima, che ho paura.
No, paura, guarda.
Ma ad ogni modo, vedi, un'opera che non si è fatta. Io sono contento, anche per un
It's
punto.
always Verdi, though. You must remember this.
Yes.
Even though you say it hasn't been done in a long time, the people of Parma know Louisa Miller.
Yes, yes.
They know all of the arias, they know all of the duets, they know everything.
Verdi loro ascoltano.
Because Verdi came from the set to India.
Sempre.
But you know, there's a great deal of difference. I remember once in the United States, in San Francisco, I was singing the Mass Ball. This was after I'd already started singing in Italy. And Ulrika was singing her aria, and her voice broke. Mistake. Things that happened. And I was so used to the reaction of an Italian audience, I expected whistles and tomatoes on stage, and all kinds of things to happen. And instead, the American audience felt very, very sorry for this poor girl and gave her an ovation, a tremendous ovation. And this gave me a little food for thought, that perhaps in America, they don't understand. They're very kind audiences, but they don't understand the words. And perhaps here it's more or less like going to the movies is in America. It's something for the common man. The butcher goes to the opera, the portinaio goes to the opera, everyone goes to the opera. And they love it and they understand it. And in America, it's more or less, it's a conventional thing. But there's something here, there's an atmosphere, as we all well know, that the greatest singers in the world have been whistled in Parma. Caruso, Gigi, all the greatest.
No, ma tutti I cantanti...
Ma soprattutto i grandi nomi qui sono stati... sempre sono passati male, non molto bene.
Perché loro non vogliono, giovani cantanti all'inizio non vogliono, perché dice l'esperienza è necessaria
They
per
want,
in
they
altri
want,
teatri.
they want singers with
E un
experience.
cantante famoso deve arrivare qui e essere bravissimo.
That's right, that's right. And many famous singers won't come to Parma for that very reason, because they feel that it might hamper their careers. Why are we here? Why are we here?
No.
You hear that? They're always singing in Parma, all around singing. You know, maybe some of those people, they like to sing, and some of those other people, they're just practicing on the way to the rehearsal. They are singing in the chorus.
A banker, an ex-football player, a radiologist, a street sweeper, an industrialist, 2 cops and a barber. The Parma Opera Chorus has a little of everything. So have most such choruses in Italy. There's a lot of amateur talent to draw on here. But the Parma Chorus is one of the best. They even go on tour. I sang with them once in Paris. Their maestro is Antonio Brenovich. He's tough.
No. Ecco, fatto. Di destra lui. Vai. 1. Ve l'ho detto prima. Non staccatemi i suoni, tenetemi i suoni, per favore. Di destra lui. Za. Prolungate le vocali.
7 days to go till opening night.
1.
Perfetto, benissimo. Ecco, adesso appena tardi incominci pure a lavorare. Bene.
Up in Milan, Sormani is putting the finishing touches to the sets for Luisa. He builds sets for most of the great opera houses in Italy. And it's still done very much as it was when Verdi wrote Luisa back in 1849. It all looks very phony seen like this, of course. The whole thing, barrels, portrait, and walls, can be folded up and shipped like dry goods.
Pronto? Qui Parma Teatro Regio, Dottor Negri.
In his office at the theater, Negri deals with the kind of problem a Parma opera manager has to get used to.
Ah, buongiorno. Ancora lei?
Another call from a tenor with cold feet.
Ho capito. Guardi che io ho mandato il medico mi ha detto che è una cosa passeggera, che lei può cantare benissimo. Ma lei non si deve preoccupare del pubblico di Parma, perché lei è un cantante giovane e per i giovani il pubblico di Parma è molto generoso. Guardi, questa è una forma di emozione, non è un mal di gola, è capitata ad altri cantanti più famosi di lei, anche al famosissimo Corelli è capitata una cosa di questo genere, ma poi ha cantato ed ha ottenuto un magnifico successo. Quindi vedrà che sarà così anche per lei.
Amo tua figlia e pure una moglie ti chiede, eccetera, eccetera.
With the maestro playing all the parts, he and the orchestra and Verdi and Louisa Miller are getting better acquainted.
Esatto. Suonate fino in fondo. Questa battuta, per favore, su 2 quarti. Una battuta e 2. A senso prominente, ove la figlia. E i suoni.
No, guardi, mi ha il sapore proprio di una scusa questa, lei deve cantare nel modo più assoluto, se no domani sera la recita va per aria, io non ho da sostituirla. E anche il mio medico dice che lei può cantare, lei deve cantare. E anche per la sua carriera, perché può finire male la sua carriera se lei rinuncia a cantare a Parma e scappa via da Parma, perché questa è una fuga, ha capito? Ecco.
Finally, we all come together, the 6 singers. Some of us are strangers to each other, and Louisa is a very difficult opera that none of us has ever seen. But we're all professionals, we know our business. And before we're through, we'll all know each other, maybe too well. Renato Cioni, the tenor, will play Rodolfo, Louisa's noble lover. Nicola Zaccaria plays the wicked Count Walter, Rodolfo's father. And Giovanni Foiani, the other basso, plays the Count's servant Wurm, another villain. Bassos and baritones are often the easiest singers to get along with for some reason. Anna Maria Rota plays the poor deceived duchess who thinks she's going to marry Rodolfo. Piero Cappuccilli, the baritone, plays Louisa's father, a retired soldier. And there's me, Louisa, who's the innocent cause of all the trouble in the plot. Somehow, in only a few days, we have to make something out of words and notes and stage directions that will be an opera, and a good enough opera to justify what the audience will pay to see it. What we do on stage is up to Filippo Crivelli, the stage director.
Vai, eccole.
3 days to go, and the sets arrive from Milan. At this point, there are 2 other operas in production in the theater besides Louisa.
Vai. Halt. Eccole. E tu scrivi il ritratto, che è chi? Sì, così, c'è Pammenon, ma cavolo. Tonon? Ma Tonon era più brutto, Vai, vai. Vai. Vai pure, pian pianino, vai. Vai sempre, vai, 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 vai. Vai. Eccole, quando hai fatto, mi cai il 18 dell'atto secondo di Luisa Mira.
Everything still looks hopelessly phony, and probably sounds that way, too. There are very tricky tempi in Louisa. The maestro and his assistant and the prompter and I have to iron them out, or we could end up in a lovely mess. This is where technique helps. Without technique, a singer's lost.
La prima o la seconda? Fa tutto lì. Sì, taglio qui e poi mi tutto qui.
The maestro has made some cuts here. He has a perfect right to. But I better get them straight or we'll be doing two different operas. Now we've got it. Our scores differ. This happens quite often.
The opera season starts right after Christmas. There's plenty to do on Christmas Eve besides buying presents. There's opera tickets to buy, too. Tickets are 400 lire, about 60 cents for the gallery, and several dollars for the orchestra seat. But it's a lot of money to us. Maybe that's partly why the people is so tough. He wants his money worth.
Sì. Basta che stai bene.
2 days to go, and we seem to be worse than ever. Still milling around, apparently in a terrible state. Every new production goes through this stage. There comes a day when everything goes wrong. Things break down, experienced musicians make childish mistakes, and Maestro needs all his patience. First, I miss an entrance cue.
Questa non è una prova seria, signori, abbiate pazienza. Da capo, il numero 13.
I was so paying attention, but there's no cue light back there.
Perché non c'è la lampadina?
How should I know why there's no cue light? Then comes the greatest outrage a maestro can suffer. His downbeat gets no reaction whatsoever.
Insomma, roba se dovessero fare la donna senza ombra di tratto,
The orchestra seems to be falling apart.
1, 2. Leggo vergato.
Now we're getting the giggles.
Facciamo il 23. 23.
It goes on and on into the night. It's less than 2 days now till we open. It seems every time we get going, something goes wrong and we get interrupted.
È un controtempo. Santo Dio benedetto. 39. Ma in 2, sì, 39.
So while the maestro browbeats the orchestra, and Crivelli shoves me around, Cioni, who never lets up, goes through Rodolfo's agony almost privately.
Everybody in Parma is talking about the opening night. They know just what to look for. Oh, Mama, are they ready?
Una volta sola. E poi qui stiamo insieme. Allora, via. E più uno.
Outside, they are planning a quick finish for us. Inside, we're dying a slow death. I won't fall dead again and ruin another pair of stockings. But Cioni dies all out as usual. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
This is a very important night. Negri seems a little nervous. I don't blame him. Everybody's here tonight. All the reporters from out of town, and a lot of society people from Milan.
We were a sellout days ago. A whole house full of experts. As if things weren't bad enough with just the Parmigiani on hand. State, bisogna chiamare il parrucchiere.
I am sitting in the orchestra seat, but the place to watch is the gallery, the Logione. You listen to them, you know just what Parma is thinking about this opera.
The mouth of the wolf is full. Brave maestro, the first to face them. An Italian gallery crowd rarely applauds before an opera. They wait to be convinced.
Datemi un effetto.
I am so used to playing queens and goddesses and warlike females, it's strange to do an opera in a dirndl and a pigtail.
The government television people are putting Louisa Miller on TV. It helps pay for the theater. Otherwise, just the people and the city pay for everything. And the whole thing loses money.
Two minutes. Come on, Renato, get your costume on. It's more important than makeup.
Margherita, in bocca al lupo.
Crepi il lupo, non c'è te,
Bravo. Poi.
Good overture, and we're all set, I guess. Prompter in his box, stagehands at the ready, singers trembling like leaves, and we're only 15 minutes late.
It gets pretty hot up there in a gallery. And mostly, you have to stand up to see. You really have to love opera to see it this way.
Now we're in the lap of the gods and the mouth of the wolf. So be it.
Like I say, the stories in opera, they're not very realistic. Louisa Miller is just like the others. This is the way I get it. Louisa is a country girl in Austria a long time ago. She falls in love with a stranger who turned out to be Rodolfo, the son of the local lord. Rodolfo is not just playing around. He wants really to marry Luisa. But his father, the Lord, he wants Rodolfo to marry a countess. And he doesn't want any country girl like Luisa getting in their way.
They're still waiting. I never knew such tension in my life. We're all on edge, thinking of them out there. No one is singing easily. There are 17 high C's in this opera for me, and plenty of tough singing for the tenor, some of it right now.
Aye, aye. That's the famous Parmigiano groan. That's the warning. No second mistake, or they let loose on him. Now it gets complicated. The Lord tries to stop the love affair by putting Luisa and her old father in his dungeon in his castle. But Rodolfo stops this by blackmailing his father and his father's servant, who's called Worm. That's his name, Worm. He's the villain. Rodolfo blackmails them by telling them he knows they killed the old lord in order to get the castle and titles and everything. So Luisa and her father don't go to the dungeon. And that is the end of the first act. Everything seems to be okay, but it's not. This is grand opera. Things have to go wrong for everybody in a big way. Now, everybody in a fancy seat goes to look at everybody else and talk about the show. Upstairs under the roof, there's a bar for the gallery. The talk is very loud and very technical. the second act, Rodolfo goes off hunting or something. And Worm, son of Magan, throws out Louisa's father into the dungeon. Then Worm forces Louisa to write a letter that says she's not in love with Rodolfo, but was just fortune hunting. The letter says she really loves Worm. She hates Worm, but she wants to get her father out of the dungeon, so she writes the letter. When Rodolfo gets the letter, he believes it. And he goes mad. He says he will marry the Countess. That's the end of the second act.
That's also where the tenor's beautiful big aria comes, the one they've been waiting for, particularly since the trouble in the first act. It's the best-known aria in the opera, and a very tough one. This is what they paid their money for. Wonderful. Shoney gives you all he's got all the time. Now it's all right. He's redeemed himself. They're with us.
In Act 3, this cocktail of a plot gets fixed up. Rodolfo decides to kill himself and Louisa. So he does, with poison. But he and Louisa have a couple of hours before they die to tell each other all the truth and get everything understood between them. Of course, it's too late. Louisa dies, Rodolfo stabs Worm, Rodolfo dies too. And that's the end of the opera. Oh boy, it's pretty sad.
We made it. It happened. It all came together. Somehow in 8 crazy days we made an opera. And the toughest audience on earth is applauding us. Later on, in the dressing rooms, nobody will be anonymous and everybody will be kind. But it's this anonymous roar from the wolf's mouth that you believe, really believe. There isn't any feeling like it. It's a great thing. Ah, the autograph hounds. They're great for your ego, but I don't understand them. Maybe they just want the moment to last. It won't, of course. In no time after it's over, the last signs of all we worked on so hard, all that the town was waiting for so impatiently, have disappeared. It's a funny way to make a living.